Lie on your back with your knees bent, feet on the floor. I suggest you put a folded blanket under your head. Rest your hands on your lower ribs and close your eyes. Turn your attention to your breathing. Self-awareness and conscious breathing are an essential part of yoga. Feel the pattern of your breath settling into a relaxed, soothing rhythm that internalizes your focus. And quiets the mind. Notice also that your breathing is movement. A gentle massage that can help you unload some of the mental and physical tension that you may be carrying. This short exercise also begins to establish an awareness of breathing steadily, that if coordinated with active poses, improves the quality of your practice. Rolling to your right side, bring your knees to hip level. Start with your knees and feet together. And now shift your left hip over just a bit more so your left knee is a little past the right. Put something under your head if your neck feels awkward. Gently draw your belly into the back, and inhaling, reach up, broadening your upper back and chest. Turn your head to the right, and on an exhalation, reach to the left, bringing the arms slowly about a third of the way to the floor for simple reclining twist pose. Keep the arm active to continue broadening and strengthening the upper back and chest. Imagine your upper body spinning like a wheel to the left, while the belly spins right. Keep your breathing steady, allowing its natural rhythm to ease tension from your mid-back. Keeping your head turned right, exhale and pull the upper side ribs towards the mat to hollow the armpit. Perhaps you can feel this engages the muscles of the upper back more. Breathe in, release the pose, and breathing out, roll onto your back. Now roll to your left side, sliding your right knee a little further so your right hip rolls towards the knee a bit. Breathe in, raise the right arm. As you reach, try not to tighten the neck. Extend the arm from the chest so your whole upper body is involved. Now exhale the arm to the right and a third of the way to the floor, while the head turns left. To strengthen the upper body further, exhale and pull your upper side ribs into the back body. This is a small movement, but one where you might be able to feel the side rib muscles working more. Keep the breath quiet and steady, using the image of the upper and lower body gently spinning in opposite directions. Inhale, roll onto the back, and exhaling, hug the knees. Stand at the head of your mat with your feet hip-width apart and parallel. for mountain pose. Standing poses all start with the feet. Wake them up by lifting and spreading your toes, balancing the weight evenly between the base of the big and little toes and the center of each heel. Notice how doing this lifts your arches and stabilizes your ankles. Try to keep your feet alive even as you lay your toes down. Stand tall and breathing in, raise your arms forward. Breathing out, reaching up by the ears to upward arms pose. Really reach. Taking the arms up is not just a position. There is also action from the side body and the underarms. Keep your breathing steady. Breathe with your mouth closed, maintaining an even balance between the breath in and out. Standing with arms overhead, breathe in, and breathing out, bend your knees slightly for chair pose. Keep your neck long and your breath steady. Shift your sit bones slightly back, drawing the belly to the back to prevent a sway back. And take your weight to your heels. Now breathe in to stand and sweep your arms wide. Bring them behind your back and joining your hands. Stand tall and inhaling, reach back with your arms. Breathing out, raise them as high as possible without rounding your upper back or straining your breath. Inhale, begin to hinge forward from your hips. And exhaling, bend as far forward as you can. Release your arms and hang down with bent knees to standing child pose. Bent knees may make it easier for you to let the torso, shoulders, arm, and head hang. If your torso feels relaxed, you can begin to straighten your knees. Remember, though, that the main intention of this pose is to relax tension from your back and your shoulders. From standing child pose, place your hands on the floor or blocks. And breathing in, step your left foot to the rear of the mat to high lunge pose. In this pose, align your knee over the ankle, with the kneecap and toes facing straight forward. Also have your thigh as close to parallel to the floor as possible. Remember, you can use blocks under your hands to help with this. In standing poses, it's important to cultivate the roots of each pose. Do this by extending your left leg and lengthen it, imagining a flow toward the heel like water through a pipe. Try to make the back of the leg longer than the front. Steady, quiet breathing. Press down with your hands to lift and open the chest, and keep the neck long. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, returning to standing child pose. Step the right leg back to high lunge on the second side. Again, align your knee over your ankle with the thigh parallel to the floor. The kneecap and toes face forward. Taking a moment like this to structurally align your joints helps your muscles to function in a more integrated way. Ground the pose by stretching back through your right leg. Imagine someone pulling back on your ankle. Press down with the hands to help the chest lift and widen. From high lunge, exhale and gracefully step to downward facing dog pose. Feet hip-width apart, 3 to 4 feet behind the hands, and lifting onto the balls of your toes. Slightly spread your fingers, and keeping your ears between your arms, exhale as you bend your knees and push the hands down, bringing the weight towards the ends of the fingers. Your whole body will respond and be pushed towards the hips, lengthening the sides of the body and shoulders. Be careful not to tighten your neck. If you can keep your back long, straighten your knees. If that's comfortable, press back through your heels and begin to lower them toward the floor. There's no hurry. A long front and back body are more important than getting your knees straight or your heels down. Stay in this pose for about 3 more breaths. Now breathing in, come to your knees, and breathing out, rest on your heels in child pose. If child pose is difficult, you can modify it by keeping your hips over your knees and resting your head on your hands. Kneel on hands and knees in table pose. Press down through your hands. The chest will respond by lifting into and spreading the upper back. Also broaden the upper chest and shoulders. These 2 actions combined stabilize the upper back. Support your lower back by drawing your belly gently in. The lower back will flatten and become stable as well. This pose can be done on your forearms if your wrists are uncomfortable. If you wish, you can increase the challenge by stepping the feet to plank pose. Adapt to the added weight-bearing challenge by lifting the upper body away from the floor and spreading the chest even more strongly than before. Continue to breathe steadily and recruit the core muscles to stabilize your lower back. Inhale, come to your knees. Exhaling, rest in child pose. Start on your knees with your forearms on the mat. Interlace your fingers and narrow the elbows to shoulder width. Turn your knees under your hips. With your shoulders over the elbows, press down through your forearms, feeling the rib cage respond by lifting away from the floor. At the same time, broaden your front chest. This will firm and stabilize the upper back. Keep your neck long and don't make a tight fist. Now, breathing out, push your hips behind your knees to heart-opening pose. Lengthen the whole side body and shoulders, stretching back until you can rest your forehead on the mat. If your shoulder hurts, broaden your chest more. If it continues to hurt, elevate your head on a folded blanket or block. Pressing the elbows to the mat, exhale and lift your hands an inch off the floor. Keep the neck long and move your middle back toward your hips. Inhale, lower your hands, and exhale, resting in child pose. Come to your knees, forearms on the mat, and interlace your fingers. Now turn your toes under and drawing the belly slightly in without tucking your tailbone. Exhale and raise the knees off the floor, pushing back to dolphin pose. Press down through the forearms, widen your collarbones and spread your upper back. Pushing down through the forearms moves the hips back to lengthen the spine and the shoulders. Do this without compressing the neck, and keep the broad, open upper body. Breathe steadily, holding this pose for about 3 more breaths. Inhale to release, resting in child pose. From child pose, stretch your arms forward. Move your hands towards the front of the mat until your hips are once again over your knees and your forehead on the floor. Widen your hands to mat width. Now draw your belly firmly in to round your lower back, and exhaling, come to hands and knees to a variation of cat pose, keeping your hands and knees far apart. The back stays rounded and fluid as you bring your hips toward the head of your mat, and keeping your arms straight, bring your legs to the floor, letting the spine fluidly transition to cobra pose, with the hands forward of the shoulders. If your spine does not transition comfortably, slide your legs back, or come to your forearms. Pull back with your hands to encourage your side body to lift. This will give your lower back more space. And spread your chest, shoulders wide, and the neck long. Try not to tuck your tailbone or to overgrip your glutes. Your feet and thighs can press firmly to the floor. Inhale, release, and exhale to the floor, resting your head on your hands. Lie face down with a blanket folded under your hips and ribs if you'd like a little padding. Rest your head on your hands and pay attention to your breathing. It's quiet and steady, mouth closed. Now stretch your right arm forward, palm turned in. Turn your left toes under and pressing them to the floor, straighten your knee and lengthen the lower body. Make the back leg longer than the front, imagining the movement begins in your upper belly. Breathe in, raise your head and chest, and breathing out, raise your left leg. And reach forward with your right arm to Locust pose. Try not to overgrip the glutes or tuck the tailbone. It's a habit many of us have, not realizing it can contribute to back problems. Now inhale, release. Exhaling, rest your head on your hands again. Take the left arm forward and turn the right toes under. Press down through your toes and straighten the knee, lengthening the back leg. Again, imagine that movement begins in your upper belly. Inhale, raise your head and chest. And exhaling, raise your right leg, reaching forward with the arm. Focus on making the middle back longer. Keep the breath steady and the neck long. Breathe in, release, and breathing out, rest your head on your hands. Lying face down, put your hands by your shoulders. Breathe out and press to hands and knees, lifting your sit bones slightly to make the back concave as I'm showing. This is cow pose. Stay in cow pose as you press your hands to the floor, moving your hips toward your feet, and slowly coming to child pose. In child pose, you allow the back to gently round. Place your hands by your knees, and exhaling, press up to standing forward bend. Breathe in, begin to stand, and as you breathe out, stand in Tadasana with the palms together at the chest. The sequence you've just practiced is a warm-up for the body and a chance to focus the mind and breath.